look at that beautiful resort Weissenhaus in the north of Germany. Welcome to Take post-game show after the first day of semi-finals, where we had one huge result today. And to go through all the action, as always, we have Grandmaster David Howell in the sofa in Germany. How are you today, David?
I'm good, Kaya. It's a really early finish. That's not the only surprise, of course. You mentioned it there, but it's been a dramatic day. There's still a bit of a buzz around having witnessed what we just saw here. Freestyle chess throwing up those shocks.
Definitely, yeah. Let's take a look at the bracket, you guys, and just dive straight into that massive result. Look at that. Vincent Keimer, the young player from Germany, playing on home turf, wins the first semi-final game against world number one, Magnus Carlsen. That is a huge one. They do play 2 games, best out of 2. The second one is tomorrow with colors reversed. It was Vincent Keimer with the white pieces in the first game today. In the other semi-final, Sindarov and Caruana played a draw. We do have 2 big semi-finals between generations. And for Vincent, David, I mean, is this the biggest moment in his career so far? Beating Magnus in a semi-final.
Yeah, a huge result there for Vincent. Of course, he's a very young player. Germany's number 1 now for a few years already. But ironically, it's probably joint first in his best result ever, his best individual game ever, alongside a win he had against Magnus as well in the 2023 World Cup. He defeated Magnus in the first game. That was also a best of 2. But in that one, he ended up falling on the second day and losing in tiebreaks. So he's going to want to make sure history doesn't repeat itself. But today, just the manner of the victory, it was so decisive, so courageous, so impressive that, I think it's definitely one of his career highlights so far.
Wow, yeah, I really look forward to hearing your thoughts on that game. But first, let's talk about the starting position. Freestyle chess, 960 positions to choose from. They draw a new one every day. And today, it was it number 360 today? And interesting, Magnus with the black pieces. This is before the game, looking at the starting position. And I saw a tweet from Anish Giri regarding today's opening position, David, saying some starting positions are significantly better for white than others, according to the engine. Could create an unfair match. So with this starting position, David, is it an unfair advantage for white?
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's one of the worst starting positions for black. White does get an advantage in this one, that is for sure. But there are some other positions out of those 960 where white is close to winning already from the first few moves. Wow. And the problem for Magnus here on the black side was that white could attack first. White could occupy space. The fact that all the knights were in the corner, all the 4 knights started there, meant that the center was actually not the immediate battleground. So you could not rely on pattern recognition, general kind of principles there. Essentially, white is the first to get the pieces into the game. White is the first to create threats, and Magnus just couldn't really recover. It felt like he was in a boxing ring. His opponent had landed a couple of punches before he could even react and orient himself. Definitely one of the more creative starting the positions, one of the more fun ones, but this time it was much more fun for Vincent Keimer.
Yeah, maybe this is sort of bringing chess a little bit more into the poker world, where you're basically dealt a pair of cards and some luck is involved, but then it's all about how you handle it and maybe how you fake it to your win. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. And Magnus wasn't dealt a great hand today. He tried to play with the hand he was dealt, the cards he was dealt, but it didn't quite work out. The kind of nightmare, the worst case scenario now for Magnus is that in tomorrow's kind of reverse encounter, the rematch, if it's one of those dry, duller positions that it's hard for white to get an advantage, then Magnus has been really unlucky. So I'm going to not kind of pass judgment yet, but today, Vincent, it wasn't just the fact that it was a kind of advantageous starting position. It was also the fact that he understood it very well immediately. He knew where the pieces belonged. He knew how to kind of push Magnus onto the back foot, and he was rewarded. It was so impressive from the German youngster.
Yeah, 100%. Not taking anything away from Vincent Keimer. We're going to look at the game. But first, Magnus did go into the confession booth quite early in the game to talk about this opening. Let's hear what he said.
This starting position feels miles more dangerous for Black than any of those we've seen in the last couple of days. I really didn't like my first move, knight g6. The idea was if he follows up with a natural pawn push f4, then I can go from the other side c5, and if he then goes for f5, I get the knight on e5, which is quite a typical theme in Freestyle. But honestly, at this point, it doesn't feel certain that I'm gonna get there. But we'll see.
Wow, Magnus not very optimistic from the get-go. And David, let's go through this game, which ended with a massive result. What happened?
Yeah, so already the start position, we mentioned the knights in the corner for both sides. That adds a bit of spice. Normally knights take a while to find good posts, and here it's extra hard. So already on move one, a bit of a surprise by Vincent Keimer, but a very instructive move. A good tip for freestyle chess, if anyone's learning the game, you actually want to open up your queen as early as possible. Don't bring her out too early. She might get attacked, but give her some room to breathe. Give her some vision towards the enemy pieces. And that's what Vincent did here. This pawn move, by the way, in normal chess, in regular chess, it's called the grob opening, but it's literally the worst possible move on the board. But in this starting position, it's one of the best. And Magnus here reacted by bringing his knight out. A bit of a risky move. We heard him talk in the confessional how he wasn't really happy no matter what, but criticizing his own move here, Magnus slightly there. And this black knight, maybe not so well placed. Vincent bringing his knight towards the center. Magnus tried to establish some pawn control in the middle of the board. And already we see the white knights jumping out. White's light squared bishop opened up. A very nice castling move there by Magnus Carlsen. But the fact that his king was fixed on this flank very early in the game meant that Vincent knew which side of the board to target. So not such a kind of good decision, maybe long-term for Magnus. And it was just a couple of moves down the line when Vincent struck in the center. Magnus didn't want to react and allowed Vincent instead to step forward. Suddenly, the kind of skeleton of the position established itself. And just because White has stepped so far forward in the middle of the board meant that Magnus's pieces, the black pieces, were just cramped, nowhere to go. And if you look at the black queen especially, over the next 10, 15 moves, she barely gets a look into the whole game. Vincent now stepping forward with some pawns, trying to just build what we call a bind in chess, one that Magnus struggles to wriggle out of. And after the black knight jumped forward, Vincent played some really cool moves, first exchanging a pair of bishops, then starting to bring his king over to a safe part of the board. There are open lines against the black king if here Magnus had been greedy and captured a pawn. But if we fast forward the next few moves, we see the theme continue. Magnus was trying to wriggle out, trying to just survive. He went into survival mode here, but Vincent just very calmly improved his pieces, here improving his queen. Next, getting the white king safe in a couple of moves' time. And when the dust did settle after some exchanges here, it was very much Vincent in the driver's seat. Magnus did a good job of defending, but it was pure defense. There was no hope of counterplay, no hope of an attack. And if we fast forward the next few moves, the white knight jumping in a second to attack the black rook, the white queen starting to improve itself in a few moves' time after an exchange of knights. Essentially, white controls a half of the board, black just stuck in his own camp. And a really cool move in a moment from Vincent Keimer. First, just kicking the black knight away. Then next move, pushing his pawn forward, trying to break open the black center. There would have been a sacrifice of the rook if black had captured a pawn here. Levi Rosman in the studio with me, we were commentating together. He was very excited about the prospect of Vincent stepping forward with his rook in the middle, capturing that black knight in the middle of the board. But Magnus tried as long as possible to kind of dissuade Vincent from that sacrifice. Instead, there was a trade of pawns in a moment, and Vincent fighting for an open file, offering a trade of rooks. Magnus said no. He needed that rook as a defender. He swung it across. And some defensive moves now from both sides. Rooks lining up, kings improving themselves, and Magnus a few moves down the line, getting into time pressure, both sides around the 1 minute mark. It was, the wild number one who started to go astray, simply because it's easier to attack than defend. Vincent Keimer trying to line up the white rooks here, the white queen, white knight, really nice. Magnus just pure defensive mode. And we see the white rook trying to jump in now. There would have been a winning move, actually, Vincent Keimer missing this one, the white rook coming onto the 7th rank, advancing. Instead, he gave Magnus a small chance to cling on. And the black knight blocking the white rooks now. The white queen swinging across in a moment. And it was here, Magnus sliding the black king into the corner and then getting a bit impatient on the next move. Vincent posting up his knight. This was the key blunder, the final mistake from Magnus, pushing that pawn forward, allowing a winning blow, but a really hidden one from Vincent. White's queen looks nice in the center, but he swung it across. The black rook now undefended. If it steps back, Magnus would be able to actually trade a set of pawns, open up the black king. So Magnus panicking here with only a few seconds left on the clock, gave up his rook for the white knight and resigned after his next move because simply white's rook there on the right side of the board is about to go up, capture a pawn. The black knight will be kicked back and white's strong central pawn is about to win the day. So yeah, all of this adds up to a bit of a disaster for Magnus Carlsen. Everything went wrong, but Vincent Keimer, just really kind of top-class, elite-level chess. He understood the start position and executed the attack really nicely.
Wow. Look at that. Vincent Keimer and Germany winning against Magnus Carlsen and Norway. Magnus, obviously, after his loss, was not too happy. He ran off to his room and he did start playing Title Tuesday. So maybe he's already getting over that loss, getting ready for day 2 of the semifinals. But Vincent Keimer, obviously very happy. Let's hear from him.
I'm here with Vincent Keimer, who has just vanquished Magnus Carlsen in the first game of their semi-final here at Weissenhaus. Vincent, I've got to ask, how are you feeling? Have you been able to calm down yet?
Not really. No, I mean, also I had a quite long time trouble. It was an incredibly complicated position, and I think the decisive factor in the end was that I was always on the more pleasant side of things, so it was way easier for me to play, even though his position I felt was kind of getting okay, because I think out of the opening my position must have been like with a massive advantage, and I kind of messed that up, but kept at least a little pressure, which then of course is getting increasingly more important the lower we get on time.
Yeah, and talking about the start position, in commentary we feel like you might have just grasped the essence of the position a bit better than some of the others. That was the same, of course, a few days ago against Alireza in the first match of your quarterfinals as well. It felt like this move associated with the Grob opening, it just seemed to give you an immediate kind of advantage. You were playing on the front foot. You were able to kind of go forward, attack Magnus.
Yeah, it's like the starting position is so weird. I mean, usually when I see a position, I try to find a way to set up my pieces in a harmonious way. Yeah. And here, no matter what you do, you will block some piece. Like there's no pawn structure which will allow you to have a really harmonious setup. Because knights in corner are never great. It takes some time to get them into the game. And also bishops in the middle of the board is kind of an issue.
Yeah, and how were you able to control your emotions, your nerves during the game? We have heart rate monitors here. It was going up and down for both players. But especially the closing stages, when you realized that Magnus was starting to go wrong at the end, was it just pure calculation mode?
Kind of, yeah, but also already all ideas that were there for me were kind of obvious. And also I could sense from the way that he was acting that he didn't really know what to do. And this is, I think, has been kind of the biggest issue for him, that even though I have no immediate threat, it's incredibly difficult for him to make a sensible move, because whichever move he plays, he will change something in the position and he runs the risk that some tactical possibilities pop up. So no matter which move he chooses, he has to check several tactical ideas, which is of course horrible if you don't have a lot of time on the clock.
Yeah, and of course you've been here before. In 2023, the World Cup, you won the first game against Magnus. It was also the best of 2. And the second game, you had a good position, but eventually he fought back. Are you going to change things up in any way? Or, I mean, I guess it's difficult with freestyle, but what are you going to try and do differently to get the job done tomorrow?
Yeah, just to play better. I think there's nothing else to do. Just don't make the stupid mistakes, and then, just give him a very hard time getting and creating winning chances, because of course also there's a lot of pressure on him. So I will just try to play a good game.
Congratulations again to Vincent Keimer, big win. He is in the lead heading into day 2 of the semifinals. With a draw or a win in tomorrow's game, he will be ready for the freestyle chess final. All right, let's take a look at the other semifinal matchup against Fabiano Caruana from the US, playing against Yavokir Sindarov from Uzbekistan. Fabi, a favorite in this one. But what happened in the game? And we're jumping into move 45 here, David.
Yeah, this is move 45. Fabiano starting as a big favorite, but Javokir Sindarov just really enjoying his tag, his status as an underdog. Having knocked out Hikaru before, having already got to this stage, I think beyond his wildest dreams. But Fabiano, for most of this game, was trying to kind of trick the younger player. He was trying to trick his opponent, maybe taking a bit too much risk. And here we see a really tense endgame. It looks like White is doing very well. If you look at the left side of the board, White has a very far advanced passed pawn, a pawn that is protected and that could soon become a queen. But the urgent business here was dealing with the threat to the White king. Black's knight is about to jump in with a check. And here Fabiano actually had some stronger moves. He ended up making a big blunder here. It could have been fatal. It wasn't. It wasn't punished. But he pushed his pawn forward. Instead, if we just go back one move, we could show he could have played a few different moves. He should have brought his rook across to try and trade off a set of pieces. He could have moved the white bishop out the way to create extra room around the white king to run away from any checks. But instead, he did push his pawn forward. And here, after a check, kicking the white king into the corner, this moment, Sindarov missed a golden opportunity. He might live to regret this if he doesn't win the match tomorrow. But here, the black rooks coming down to that first rank, the bottom row, would most likely have won the game for Sindarov. Both of the black rooks coming down and sliding across behind the white king. That is a checkmating pattern. That is a checkmating net that the white king really couldn't have gotten out of. So Fabiano riding his luck. A bit of an escape here. Sindarov instead maybe getting nervous about the clock situation, tried to eliminate the danger. He brought his rook across to deal with that far advanced white pawn. But we saw some pieces exchanged, and the next few moves we saw rooks disappear, pawns disappear, and the game fizzle out towards that draw. Fabi, I think the happier of the two from that result.
Yeah, he was uncomfortable at one point in that game, but after it, he did get comfortable in the sofa.
Well, a bit relieved because I was under pressure in the end game and also very low on time. The starting position was, I think, one of the most difficult that we've had so far because White has so many different first moves, Black has so many responses. Everyone chose a different approach.
Yeah, and towards the end, when the clocks were ticking down, it got a bit messy. Were you able to kind of keep calm? How were you feeling, essentially?
Not totally calm. I didn't ever feel that I was losing, but apparently I was probably losing at one moment. Although I did feel I was in extreme danger, so I definitely wasn't relaxed in that position because my king is very weak.
Yeah, and what are your impressions of Javokir from today, from this event? You do have to play him again tomorrow. Have you formed any conclusions about his style, his strengths, weaknesses?
No, I think he's very good. I don't see in the game today it wasn't like huge weaknesses. I mean, maybe at the end, of course, he rushed a bit, didn't believe, I guess, in the winning chances. But besides that, overall, I think he played like a high quality game for the most part. Especially considering the complexity. I actually don't think either of us were playing badly, except maybe for this one slip up near the end. Besides that, I mean, it was a very difficult game, and it is an unforgiving time control. So, it didn't feel like a poor game, and I definitely didn't feel like I was playing anything besides like a top level player.
Yeah, and Fabiano, I'll let you rest. But final quick question: game of Avalon tonight?
Sure. Well, last night we only got 5 people. It was a bit sad.
I didn't realize. I felt bad. I had an early night. I was tired after the long day of chess.
It seemed like the tiebreak day, everyone was kind of tired, and but definitely tonight, yeah.
Okay, deal. Count me in.
Fabiano Caruana tied with Yavokir Sindarov heading into day 2 of the semifinals. Let's take a look at the bracket again. Only a few days now remaining in the Freestyle Chess Grand Slam Tour event number 1. Vincent Keimer in the lead against Magnus Carlsen. Magnus will have to make a comeback tomorrow. If he does, they will play tie breaks to decide who will make it through to the grand final. Sindarov and Caruana, they are tied. If we have a winner in game 2 tomorrow, that player will be ready for the grand final. What do you think, David? Will we see tie breaks tomorrow?
I think yes. I'm not sure we'll see them in both matches. I would love to think that Magnus can make a comeback. I think all the chess fans want to see him play as much chess as possible, whether he qualifies for the final or not. But Magnus, yeah, it was a bit out of the blue. He was so convincing in the quarterfinals. To lose today would have been a shock to him as well. I think he's a favorite still against Vincent Keimer, even having lost the first game. But of course, it's going to be difficult. And if it does get to tie breaks, I should say Magnus is even more of a favorite because speed chess isn't Vincent Keimer's forte necessarily. In the other one, it just looks level. Sindarov's so impressive. I think that one, or if it goes to tie breaks, Fabiano might be in a bit of trouble. So we'll see. Fabi might need to do the business tomorrow.
Wow. All right. Tomorrow's going to be such a cool and interesting day at the Freestyle Chess Tour event number 1 with day 2, final day of semifinals going down. All right. Well, short day, well deserved for you guys, David, at Weissenhaus. What are you going to do tonight?
Well, I have a hot date with the other commentators in the sauna. We've made a pact. It's like a team bonding session. And then maybe
nice.
after dinner, I'll go and hang out with Fabiano. We'll play some Avalon. It's been a bit of a tradition this tournament. But yesterday was a long day, so it's just nice to be able to chill and recover today.
I heard there's also like a show match going on tonight at Weissenhaus between Alexandra Botez and Anna Kramling. What is that all about?
Yeah, we had Anna Kramling and the Botez sisters join us on the Weissenhaus freestyle broadcast here, and they were kind of throwing in some little kind of trash talks to each other. I think it's like a friendly rivalry. It's going to be a very friendly, fun match, of course.
Cool.
But they both very much want to win. Alexandra Botez, she was on kind of a hot streak in terms of tournaments last year. She won a really big tournament in Italy, showing she's playing very well. And Anna Kramling, I think anyone who follows her journey knows how strong she is. Sweden international. And they'll be playing 2 rapid games, freestyle chess against each other, maybe some blitz games as well. And the commentators will be Andrea Botez and Levon Aronian. So that'll be fun.
Wow.
I'll definitely try and peek in, watch.
How cool. And I actually heard rumors you guys can check out a broadcast of that fun matchup at the Freestyle YouTube account. Our friends at Freestyle, so do check out that. And David, enjoy the sauna, and we'll see you again tomorrow.
See you soon, everyone. Thanks, Kaya.
All right. Day 2 of semifinals coming up tomorrow, everyone. Thanks for watching the Take post-game show. We'll see you again tomorrow. Bye.